We welcome you to Wallace Wade Stadium here in Durham. This is the final spring game on ACC Network for 2024 and the first blue and white game under the leadership of brand new Duke head football coach Manny Diaz. The Blue Devils, of course, who a year ago were 8-5, went 4-4 in the ACC. They welcome Manny Diaz as their new coach, and he's put the Blue Devils through a 14 practice pace. And
I mean, you think about the guys that they had last year, the Aeneas Peebles and Dwayne Carter and, and R.J. Oben, and I think, a lot of that momentum, and especially for the Duke fans, the question mark is, okay, are we going to actually have? They weren't the whole thing, and so they're going to have to kind of rebuild their identity. Ashley already talked about Jonathan Brewer's type of offense is going to be much more fast-paced than Duke's was last year. So a lot more air raid type offense.
Well, and Taylor, you're standing to be here.
Look how wide these receivers are out. Outside the numbers, a lot of vertical passing routes.
And Chandler Rivers defended that play on a ball intended down the near sideline for Jontavis Robinson.
Pocket passer coming out of high school.
That time looking for Hagans.
And we've seen this type of offense really be fast-paced offense. So you can do it with both, but there are very defined wrinkles that you'll get depending upon the quarterback that's in the game.
There's Jeremiah Hazley with the catch. He's a tight end that they've got some expectations.
Now we're going 7-on-7.
Yep. And here's the throw. And the catch is made. Nick Lampert, who only played in one ball game a year ago, makes the grab. And so Murphy picks up a
doing throughout this spring because of their limited numbers. And we talked to Jonathan Brewer about it. He said, look, this is just not going to be a physical spring camp. We just can't have it be that. So if we can't be physical, let's hone what we get of how this timing has been working out.
Here's a 3rd down and 4 scenario. Murphy going to take a deep shot, and he's looking for Brown, who makes a catch. Did he keep his feet in bounds? And they are going to rule it a catch at the 18-yard line. Terrific throw, better catch from Sean Brown.
Malik Murphy shows off that strong arm.
Karan Boyd is in the backfield. Here's Murphy going to take a shot for the end zone and overthrows Lampert. That's Murphy's first miss in the possession. Schemes and that kind of deal.
You're keeping the tally over there?
Unofficial.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's the official unofficial tally.
Yeah, it checks it all the way down, and this is Boyd, who we mentioned a moment ago. Former wide receiver.
5 out, meaning they're going to get the running back out in pass routes a lot with this type of offense. So Karan Boyd is one of those guys who's intriguing to this offensive staff because he has that receiver background and can line up in the slot.
More touchdowns at Pitt in the regular season finale, and then, of course, was a bowl game winner as well. So plenty of experience a year ago, and a first down throw here on the perimeter. And, boy, the Blue Devils get it going there, and that is Jordan Moore. Nose line stays on the field here. So they do mark it up for a first down. That's Peyton Jones, the sophomore from Norfolk, who ran for 71 yards in 3 games a season ago.
You notice the tempo here.
So a 2-by-2 look, and Taylor, is this this is what he's talking about when he talks about getting to what they did in Dallas a year ago.
Yeah, and I think also when you talk about SMU, you have to be able to talk about varying tempos as well, and I think that's
talk about the varying quarterbacks that have been in this offensive system.
Yeah.
Tyler Van Dyke's name got mentioned.
Yep.
So did Jennings, who was
Kevin Jennings.
Tanner Mordecai.
Yep. Preston Stone. This kind of gunslinger Brett Favre, like, hey, I got this short memory and I'm gonna try to fit the ball into these tight windows and take some chances, and you saw that really play out. That shows some of that maturity, gunslinger nature that he brings in.
Well, here's a 5-wide look as Loftus starts his second possession, and he dials one in the center of the field that time, and that's Boyd, the running back.
Coaches talk about it at the beginning of the broadcast. They talked to us a ton about it yesterday, even down here in a spring game. I mean, he's talking to his guys, telling them what's next. You just saw him in a little bit of a huddle prior to this drive, and so I think that's an aspect that they have to consider when they.
He just seems like he's a little bit smoother in his drops and is delivering the ball at kind of a more confident pace.
Mekhi Wall you saw in motion. The ball was delivered. There's Boyd again, the running back.
Playing defense when you're getting man matchups with linebackers on running backs, you want to try to use that to your advantage.
There's a quick throw and the near side catch, and that's Wall, who's
Stops without offensive line in there.
You see Bates has come in as one of the running backs, and he'll take the catch. Took a pretty quick shot. That's Carter Wyatt, a redshirt sophomore.
And when you look at what they have right now at that kind of true Mike position, it's Nick Morris Jr., number 36. He is probably, the coach said, he has the most solid spring out of all to build some depth. Although, you know, Jonathan Packey did say, like, I think we're about one player away at each spot.
Trey Freeman almost came up with it.
Who they said, by the way, they said he wasn't going to be playing.
We kind of got that
he's
Trey
out here,
Freeman was
baby.
not going to be involved in contact.
Tempo is something that's new to all of us. You know, we weren't fast last year. This year, the tempo has been probably the hardest part to get used to. But yeah, so I think just installing the foundation and getting used to it's been helping. Yeah. She's a teacher, so she I've been in her classrooms, watch her command classrooms, and then my dad with the confidence. You know, he always instilled the confidence in me that I can go out and I can compete with anybody and be on the field with anybody.
What were your first impressions?
So I think, you know, I think the biggest thing is intentionality, and then he's just genuine. You know, anything he says he's going to get done, it gets done, and if he can't get it done, he gives an honest answer.
And for you personally, to go through a quarterback battle, what is that like?
Oh, I think it's just a lot of fun. You know?
Season ago, getting reps as the QB1.
I think it's just to get more comfortable. You know, I think it was 5 games last year.
15 months. He's already won road games in the ACC.
No, and I think, you know, that puts it into perspective a little bit, but there's also, right, like, you talked about his background and, you know, his mom being a teacher, right, and commanding we said a high school teacher?
Yeah.
Commanding a high school classroom, like, you learn how to do that from mom, and you can do that in the field,
Yeah.
right?
Peyton Jones, the ball carrier. I want to go back to this last throw by Malik. The velocity to which it leaves his hand.
Yeah.
Here's Murphy, and that time now that might be a pressure. The linebacker up here wants that to be a Derek Brown Jr. sack.
He's a guy that's turned a lot of heads so far in workouts and then this spring ball.
There's Murphy throwing again. That is picked. He was looking for Jordan Moore. And they could throw a flag at the 26. 3 drives a year ago in Austin for Steve Sarkisian, of which there were 12 scores in those drives. 8 touchdowns, 4 field goals. But here's the other note. The ball, by the way, incomplete. Terry Moore might have held onto the jersey, but that went by the boards. Here's a little tunnel screen, and that's Jordan Moore on a second down play. Offense still trying to get on the board here late in this first half, if you will. We're going to have a 2-minute.
I think it's going to create less paranoid coaches, right? I mean, college football coaches, that's a paranoid bunch. And if they think people are stealing their signals and all that stuff, then it's whatever, so they can see those pictures right there. So, no video or anything on that, but they'll have pictures of what the previous play was from the series.
Apollos Cook, by the way, was the intended receiver for Malik Murphy ago, so pretty reliable spot there for Manny Diaz in his first year here at Duke. And you see the throw back in the center of the field from Murphy, and that's Cook again on the catch.
It'll be really good for, I mean, this is filled with transfer quarterbacks who are first time in systems. That's what all of college football is. So, you know, instead of having a wristband or 2 wristbands, 1 on each arm, to be like, oh, this mind the backside tackle to cut off the D end, right? Like, that can be expressed to these quarterbacks, and I think that's kind of the extra coaching points you can have on the field.
Taylor, to add to this, I am fascinated to see
that. To
you better
say
have a clock guy and you better have a timeout guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, I think that there's all things that'll be managed, and yeah, it'll be beneficial. And I love how I love the 2-minute warning in the NFL because it just sets you up. It says, okay.
Aiden Burr of Georgia Tech kicked an uncontested 62-yarder last week in Atlanta. And this is Polino from 53, and that is easily through. He kicked a 52-yarder against NC State last year. Jaquez Moore in the backfield with him, and this is a first down play with the offensive line intact and a tight end. And this is a quick throw to Jordan Moore on the perimeter to the injury. Jordan Moore caught 62 balls. A guy who we've not talked about here tonight, but is a speed guy, is Javon Harvey, who transferred here from Old Dominion.
Yeah, and I think that what they love about him is that speed showing up. Yeah. They are going to run off corners, and they're going to take shots. And similar to what they want to do here at Duke. So, again, you've seen on both on offense and defensive side, as Grayson Loftus makes a great throw, how to run the offense and defense.
Little tempo here employed by the offense. They'll hand it to Jaquez Moore, and that'll get a yard or two. Ronnie's team at Old Dominion does, Mark? You're talking about two of the fastest teams in the country last year in terms of tempo. That ball is offline, so it'll be third down here in this possession.
This season, if they do want to implement that fast pace.
Here's the third and long play, and back underneath, that's Bolyard, the tight end. By the way, Harvey was glad to see Taylor McGregor tonight here at Wallace Wade.
And we're very, very fast.
Yep. Crazy ball game that was in Norfolk. That's off the fingertips of Harvey, I believe, and incomplete. Yeah, it's here now. Going to work at the 49. By the way, the defense added a couple points there after that stop to push the lead to 4. Wide receiver is one of the deeper spots on this football team for the Blue Devils. Long throw to the backside, and that's Makai Wall, who carried the ball 6 times.
Fourth quarter, and he's a guy too that they say, hey, look, this guy can be a slot guy. He was a 100-meter hurdles guy in high school and state champ in that area, so he's got that athleticism.
Into his football prowess. Loop to the end zone. And Hobson could not hang on. Or no, Bates rather. 19, not 10.
We're trying to have vertical routes out of the backfield, trying to get mismatches on the linebackers.
Here's Loftus again, and that time beyond the reach of Wall.
And I think one of the things that's noticeable, right? We have so much talk about defense, and a lot of times defenses, especially with new coordinators, are a little bit more advanced at this point in spring anyways.
28-yard try for Polino, middle of the field, and it's good. So Todd Polino's kicked 3 field goals. That's what the Duke offense has.
0 and a 6, and that 0 is in honor of his teammate, running back Marquise Collins, who suffered a right knee injury this spring and most likely out for fall as well. And so he wanted to honor his teammate, and he did so with that number on his helmet, guys.
Wow. This is from Bryan, Texas. Went to College Station High School.
Yep.
I'm going to hazard a guess he might have grown up an Aggie fan.
Significant thing to do, to honor a teammate in that way.
He throws a rope to Harvey, and there's a sidearm shot back in the middle of the field as Sean.
Lights are on. You're in the stadium, and I think there's a little bit of pressure for anyone in that situation, especially when you're trying to prove that you deserve a job. And
who Murphy is honoring with the 0 on his helmet. And Jaquez Moore has nothing there. Terrific play offensively last year.
Yeah, for sure. And also, too, those brands weren't brands until they built their brands. I mean,
right.
Before last year, you didn't really know who R.J. Oben was. A lot of these guys, like a Wesley Williams, like a Michael Reese, like a V.J. Anthony, like a Ryan Smith, to build their brand and, play phenomenal defense.
Has made this an attractive job for him.
Well, and not only what has been done, but also he talked very candidly.
What a catch.
That was nice.
Heck of a grab here. This is Jordan Moore, and that's Chandler Rivers on the bottom of the stack fighting him for the football. It is.
You don't think that's competition right there? Better ring that bell.
Wow. What a throw and what a catch by Moore, huh?
And there you go. That's the first touchdown we've seen of the day.
Stetson comes over to see if he still can't get it out of there.
We saw this matchup right in the one-on-ones where they rang the bell earlier in practice. And, how beneficial is it to both guys? Chandler Rivers and Jordan Moore, both phenomenal players in the ACC. They get to go against each other all the time in practice. And you see the competitive nature. Great job of high-pointing the football. They love that back shoulder throw.
Wow. Heck of a fight for the football. Touchdown, and now Polino's point. It's a 4-point lead for the defense. About 8 minutes to go. The third of the 4 quarterbacks. This is Donald Tomlin, who's going to take snaps here. He's from Ridgeview High School, sophomore from Columbia, South Carolina. And boy, he was rifling one. So you're talking about a fairly handy athlete here in the QB depth. And Tomlin with time. That's Bolyard, I believe, the tight end. Vance Boyard makes the grab.
Exactly. But, you know, when Duke's teams have been good, whether it's Dal Mullen or Noah Gray before that, like they have leaned on their tight ends in that as a receiving threat offensively.
Well, I think, so at the end of the day, just get in line here because you know it's going to be a productive point of the offense, regardless of what the platforms are, right?
And think about a tight end, right? If you are a receiving tight end.
I'm fascinated by the guys from Australia who come to punt in the United States out of the Pro Kick program. And Reynoldson is another one whose dad was an Aussie Rules football player. We ran the video of you jumping into the Cameron Crazies the day after you got the job here. Herzlich was pretty confident that endeared you to the public. You hit the free throw, which was maybe the most critical piece, right?
Absolutely the most critical piece, making that great catch on great coverage by Chandler Rivers.
Yeah.
Defense has done a really nice job, gotten some really good stops down in the red zone. Make a 52-yard, 53-yard field goal, even though it was after fourth down. I just want to see him right before halftime. I think they're both in command. I think they both know what they're doing out on the field. And these days like this, with you guys being here, it's so important for them to perform, turn people loose, and get after the quarterback. It's a little bit tough, obviously right now, again, with our line situation to run the ball the way we want to run it, which means to stop the run the way we need to stop the run. But
Taylor and I were visiting before we started our show today. The way the landscape of college football is built right now, you can still add to the inventory here, right? I mean, they're
each other out. They've been really good in the meeting room. They all want the same things, right? They want to see the team win. Malik is a great team guy.
Mark coming this year is that tight end position. We've seen a couple catches now from Vance Boyard and from Jeremiah Hasley. How has the tight ends developed this spring for you?
Well, it's going to be a major part in our offense, pushing the ball down the field to those guys. It's a good spring. I think he's established himself as a guy that can control C-gap and can make plays down the field.
Well, we're getting to look at a little bit of the run game as well. Absolutely. We're going to see if Grayson Loftus can punch one in here for you. There's a throw, and that got picked. Coming back up the near side.
Oh, you better score.
And Vontae Floyd, one of the young guys that Coach mentioned to us yesterday. So did Jonathan Packey. Young.
See him at the bottom of the screen, just sits. Really good job of seeing the inside receiver that cut his drop down where the safety could play over the top. And he just, again, for a true freshman to understand the route concepts and make a break on the football. Now the only thing is you can't get tackled from behind, young man.
Just with a coaching change, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, again, you get some new head coaches in the ACC around the league. Boston College, obviously, with Bill O'Brien. Fran Brown is a big one, right? Syracuse, it's been a long time.
Fast, a lot of passing yards, and I feel like kind of coming from the offense that I came from, it'll be good for me to kind of step away from that pro-style offense and, kind of expand in my strengths of the game, and that's putting the ball downfield.
How do you
Philly is his comfort zone. The coordinators can play off of that and make him feel comfortable in games.
So we're getting a look at Murphy, who bailed on Taylor to go back. He's watching this spring game. If I'm Manny Diaz, I'm not telling anybody anything. And I may start one guy the first game and another guy I may go the Jim Harbaugh route from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Where you go two quarterbacks, I think, right? You see those numbers, and I think that hasn't been one guy who has been a clear, hey, this guy is really, really that much better. So competition continues.
Look at this throw here. This is Jeremiah Hasley. I think this is like almost a submarine pitch.
Yeah, a sidearm sling.
Holy smokes. Here's Murphy. He had pressure in his face. He makes a throw there on the second down play to the far
quarterbacks, and why that's important. It's because they can make big throw out of compromised positions.
He picked up a drop ball and then threw a strike to Moore, but incomplete and out of bounds against Terry Moore.
So they're like, hey, if the Saints, right? They're giving people treats for taking players out.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
We used to get honey baked
How
hands.
about this? A little sidearm action there.
We used to get honey baked.
Or running back. The competition at quarterback's been clearly outlined. The depth at wide receiver, there's some real power there, but how much depth is there?
Yeah, I think that's the question. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of all starting, but they do have the bodies there, and they have shown some flashes today as well.
Yep. Third down play underneath the stick, and the catch is made. That's Shamir Hagans, the junior from. So here goes Murphy, and 11 seconds left to go. Going to wheel and shoot
Nice
one to the
throw.
far side. Boy, what a nice catch. Harvey stepping out of bounds at the 31.
And
5 seconds left.
great throw.
Yep.
Deep out route.
Right at 49 yards to. And there's the kick. And Polino will drive that through. And is that the final play? I think it is. Yep. So Manny Diaz gets a full look here. Defense wins it 24-16.
Yeah, defense played well. They got some pressure on the quarterbacks. You saw that was apparent. You saw V.J. Anthony get in there. You saw Michael Reese get in there, Wesley Williams. Defensive backs, the competition in the one-on-ones carried over to the actual scrimmage and the practice. The competition in the quarterback room is continuing. The tight ends showed out.
Yep.
The offensive line is there, kind of, but they got to bring in some more guys. So a lot of work for this Duke team before we hit fall, but a good start here this spring.